Welcome everyone, come on in, have a seat. For those of you who were here yesterday, congratulations, you remembered how to pace yourselves for the Monday morning start, and appreciate you. My name is Nikki Baird, I'm the Vice President of Strategy at Aptos. I'll do a little bit more introduction in just a second. You are in the session Getting Real about cloud point of sale and the future of the store. And if you didn't notice, this session was developed, produced, and sponsored by Aptos. What we're going to do today is we'll go through some introductions. So for those of you who may not be familiar with the scope or scale of these brands, they're going to help give you that perspective before we dive in. It is going to be a fireside chat. I have a few slides, but it's more to help visually stimulate or tie into the discussion that we're going to have. We will have some pauses for questions, and actually this is incorrect. We won't run a microphone for audience questions. There are two microphones that are towards the front in these two aisles, so if you do have a question, then please step up to the microphone so that everybody can hear it, and we will make some time for those as we go. And of course, if you want more, you can visit Aptos at our booth. All right, so let's get into the introductions. As I said, my name is Nikki Baird. I look after the future as it impacts our Aptos customers and solutions. I have 25 years in retail technology as a retailer, as a solution marketer, as an industry analyst, and a consultant. You can find me on Forbes, and I always have to give my little plug. I am a volunteer and supporter of Best Robotics, which is a high school and middle school robotics competition that is built around a business, and I totally encourage you to investigate it if you are interested in any of that kind of thing, because it is awesome. Aptos is an enterprise retail solution provider. We are the leader in unified commerce, 100% focused on the retail industry. We do all the things in retail that are difficult and hard and differentiating, so we focus mostly on inventory, omni-channel, and commerce. And then we are going to be focused on cloud-native point of sale today. And Aptos One is the largest deployed base of cloud-native point of sale devices and stores to date, and we intend to keep that designation going forward. All right, so now let me have our panelists introduce themselves, and we'll start with Calvin.
Hey everyone, I'm Calvin Anderson. I work for VF Corp. I oversee global digital for Dickies, Smartwool, and Ultra. I lead all of their tech from web platforms, digital, you probably know what that is, and then all of our data and customer lifecycle environments. I teach at the University of Colorado in their executive MBA program, influencing young, impressionable minds, and then also formerly from hospitality, about 2 years in retail, so occasionally I miss a term or two in retail as I'm catching up on a few things. I'll tell you a little bit about VF, a great company with a ton of brands that are really have been around for quite a while. You can see what they are. We've been around 123 years. We started in intimates, which we've given that focus away to other people lately. I don't know how we went from intimates to denim, but alas, I'm going to just keep going a little faster. We've got 35,000 employees. We're all over the world, 12 brands. Kind of by region, it's an interesting pickup. You can kind of see Vans and North Face are a huge piece of our portfolio, about 50% in the US. Still a large wholesale player, and then about 26% D2C, 20% digital. And then kind of all over the world. We're based in Shanghai, Stabio, Switzerland, by Lake Como, so sometimes we like to find reasons to get over there. We don't really go to the lake often, but just throwing that out there. And then Denver is our mothership. And we've won some awards for things that, you know, just so that we're nice to people and stuff like that, which I think are great. It's a great company to work for, and this is Dylan.
Thanks, Calvin. My name is Dylan Bruntil. I obviously work for New Balance, and I'm responsible for retail technology globally. I've had about 20 years experience in the IT and the retail technology space. So New Balance's purpose statement, I'm going to read it for you. It's independence since 1906. We empower people through sport and craftsmanship to create positive change in the communities around the world. The takedown from that is New Balance does support communities, underdeserved communities, and invest in those. Is works very hard to add the ability to have diversity and equality in different groups and in our customer base. And then obviously New Balance is a manufacturer. They make footwear, they make apparel, and responsibility to the made and our environment is very critical to the organization. New Balance by the numbers. So New Balance is a global organization. There's 41 offices throughout the world where we make up our footprint. There's 6 owned manufacturing facilities in the United States and 1 in the UK. And this is probably one of the big differentiators because New Balance is one of the very few footwear manufacturers that actually have factories in the United States and in the UK. 8,000 associates globally and 3,500 stores. The way New Balance works is we have a mix of corporate-owned stores as well as third-party licensee partner stores. Of that 3,500, about 500 of them are actually New Balance-owned stores. And when you look at the store mix and the store profiles, they're largely factory outlet stores and inline full-price stores. So between those two, that's the overall footprint of what the store base looks like.
All right. Thank you very much. So let's get into it with the role of the store today. And Calvin, we'll start with you. We have Timberland, a VF brand. We have the Timber Stoop, which I think is a great example of just when we think about the store, we got to start thinking about what that store is a little bit differently. So I know I've heard at the show so far, there's been a lot of talk about direct-to-consumer, the digital upstarts, the digital natives, like scrambling to diversify away from online only. Yeah. Is the store still important and relevant, and will it become more so or less so?
I think that the store is certainly still important. It is definitely taking I'd say a secondary role to digital in a lot of ways. I think the pandemic taught us all to buy online if you didn't already buy online. And so the store has to move a little bit more from an inventory center and a bit of a garage sale to an environment where it's kind of that elevated experience of touching and feeling the brand. It's a secondary, it's the next step in a consumer journey where you're really investing, and so it should be a little bit of a journey to the store in a way that the consumer is going there with intention, probably more than just to sort of randomly shop and find something.
Yeah.
Go,
no, keep going. You're good.
I also think that the store, because people are so used to probably the digital experience first in a lot of cases, that the store has to start to design a little bit in context to the website in a lot of places where you see kind of a mega menu of experiences and how the product is lined up, and at some point the store needs to make sense to the consumer and be introduced in maybe a similar way.
Yeah, interesting. Dylan, what's your take?
I mean, to add to what Calvin has said, I totally agree. One of the big pieces of a store where people today, you can go online, you can sit at your home, you can click, buy anything, it ships right to your house. If you're at a store, you're looking for a different experience. And coming into a store, you're going to get a more personalized experience. You're going to get really immersed in the brand. And that's really a differentiator between store and other channels. One of the things that we've been seeing throughout 2022 is our store traffic has double-digit increases over this year. And it just goes to show that the store is very much alive. Customers are coming into the store, and it's truly an important aspect of retail.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit, you've got a pretty aggressive outlet strategy, so talk a little bit about the difference in how you approach the full line store versus the off-price store.
Yeah, so our full price stores are really our premium. This is where you get the true brand experience. We have a couple different formats of that full price store. But where, the full price store is really, our bread and butter. It's where we can really curate and provide that amazing experience for that customer. While we do the same thing in the outlet stores, the factory outlet stores, but obviously it's a different price point. We work to service the customer as much as possible, but there are differences to those two formats. Yeah. And certainly a customer can choose whether they want to go. We have customers that shop both, right? And where there's the different product mixes in our inline stores, there's some crossover and last year stuff where the customer still is very brand loyal and they want to continue purchasing that specific model, and the factory is where they can do that.
Yeah, awesome. So we've got this pop-up example here.
Yeah.
Dylan, you obviously have done pop-ups. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Just as far as a strategy goes, how important is it to do more to be where the customer is as opposed to getting the customer to come to you? And Calvin, why don't you start?
Yeah, I think that people, there's so much content online, right? And so there's an opportunity to really get to know a brand, and people start to choose what they care about. VF has a lot of legacy brands, and so we have the advantage of a lot of links to people's high school experiences and childhood, which is great. But to remain relevant in a world where there is incredible content that is super organic, I mean, nowhere more than TikTok and YouTube Shorts and stuff like that. And so to some degree, I think getting out there, I would almost say is honestly an advantage of bigger capital, which is that if we're going to be out there touching the consumer versus a lot of startups that are bringing incredible content and great new product with new edges trying to take market share, which is awesome. It keeps us all great. One of the advantages of a legacy brand is to get out there and really kind of show that DNA to the consumer, to show the quality of the product, why it's great, and let people kind of create a little bit of an emotional attachment to it so that your product doesn't fall into being a commodity. So I think that it's very important. People like to feel and do that. I don't think we're a world where Terminator is not taking over yet. People still like to see what the clothes look like on them, how it falls and feels, and so it's an advantage that is a shame to not make the very most out of with that consumer.
Yeah, great. And Dylan, what's your perspective? An important strategy for New Balance?
Oh, very important. New Balance, as folks know, or if you don't know, is very much steeped in running.
What?
Yeah, big surprise.
Sacre bleu.
So New Balance sponsors several running events throughout the year, and one of which is New York City Marathon. We recently sponsored and ran a selling event for New York City Marathon right here in the Javits Center. And it's just an amazing experience because what New Balance does is by showing up at these events, it says we're supporting our customers. We're there to cheer them on. We're here for them. When we were here, do you want to flip over to the next slide if you don't mind? We got a little illustration. This is setup. This is here setup day. And this is this direction of the Javits. We took over about 75% of this whole Javits Center. Our selling area was in that one area. If you guys are walking around and you see where the ceilings are really low, the whole selling area was there. There was about 60 registers set up for selling. As customers come through, they're coming up and they're greeting our store associates. The energy is so positive. It's so infectious. People are about to run their marathon. We actually ask customers, is this your first marathon? And when a customer says yes, the cashiers will literally say, they bang something and say, we have a first-time marathon runner. And of all the other associates in that area, about 100 plus associates, they're all cheering, they're ringing cowbells. It is just an amazing, amazing experience, and it really drives that energy. And so, like, we're driving energy, we're driving that wonderful experience. It charges them up for a great run, and it's really, really helps to continue that brand loyalty. And for folks that are running their first marathon, or not even running their first marathon, and they're not even running New Balance, it really gives them an opportunity to bring those people into the fold. And it's a super powerful event, and it's very critical to be at some of these events in order to do that.
That's awesome. So I think one question that I know everybody's asking and curious about and would love to get your take is, how much do you see what customers expect from stores change now versus like pre-pandemic or during the course of the pandemic? Is it a new set of expectations from customers, or is it still the same old, same olds? Calvin, what are you guys seeing?
I think there's definitely an expectation to come in and find your size in core items that are your favorite and see how they fit you. I think that we only have so much room for interest in every single product and item in our life. Some people have a big slice of room in their mind for clothing, and some people have a small slice. But I think I would give the Rolex watch store as an example of they are notably supply constrained, and what they've done in a way that is quite interesting is for anyone that is chasing that kind of a watch, you can now see it. Now you can never buy it, but now you can put it on and try it and feel it. And so I think that there is, in fact, a huge disappointment if your core iconic items, or if someone has a newfound interest. At Dickies, we have the 874 pant, which is a men's pant, which is bought very aggressively by females, and you don't wear it like normal. You flip it upside down so you can see the band. You show some real tube top action, and there are not tons of women that know how to wear a men's work pant, and so that's an adventure. And so I think that in reality, people want to come in and know what they're buying, what it's going to feel like, and what their size is. And in a lot of cases, they may not even buy it at the store because maybe it's easier to have it delivered to their home or not in their suitcase. If they're Dickies doesn't have a ton of stores, so it's a bit of a pilgrimage to a Dickies store to try that on, or a wholesale store. And so I think that people have absolute expectations of, I want to go see what's my fit, how does it work with me, and whether they transact or not is sometimes unimportant in a way. So if you don't have that core product in the store, even if it's not for purchase, I think that is a huge problem and a real letdown for
Interesting.
people.
All right. And Dylan, how about you? New consumer behaviors, or the expectations are the same?
Yeah, I mean, I think everything changes, everything's dynamic, and one of the things that we try to do is work with our customers and immerse them in the brand, immerse them in the experience, help them find what they're looking for. Sometimes customers, don't necessarily know what they're looking for. They know they want to, get into running, or they know they're just looking for some cool lifestyle shoes, but they don't necessarily know what's right for them. So getting them into the store, helping them find the right fit, and really helping them to deliver what their expectations are. And whether we have the product there in the store or we're able to get it from somewhere else, that's obviously a critical component to closing out the sale. But again, I think that's always going to change over time.
Yep. All right, well, let's turn to technology. We're already up here. I did promise that I would show a little bit more of a view of when people are there. And Dylan, that's you ringing sales, and you're scanning so fast your hand is blurred in this photo, so good job there.
Look at you go, Dylan.
I mean, technology, yes, you can operate a store today without technology, but I think as far as the customer experience goes, it's going to be pretty limited. You pretty much can't have a good customer experience in stores without technology as an enabler. So just talk about, I know stores are always the most challenging place to put technology and to keep technology going. I think it's the hardest job in retail, not pandering in any way, shape, or form, but it is the hardest job. Stores are a reality distortion field. I've seen people dump entire big gulps into cash register keyboards, and you're like, it's not even supposed to be here. How did this happen? So I very much empathize on that one. But just in terms of kind of the overall corporate perspective on technology in stores, is it a thing to be minimized, or is it viewed as an important enabler for the store? I'm sorry, I promised I'd start with Dylan next.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, technology is clearly very important, but we don't necessarily want to put technology in for technology's sake.
Yes.
It's first and foremost is that customer experience, the customer journey. How are we helping our associates help those customers? The technology should be not the afterthought, but the technology should ride, quietly behind and help really be the enabler for that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, from the technology pieces, there's so many components that go in to operate a store, and the thing is, it shouldn't necessarily be the first and foremost thing that customers come in and see.
Yeah, that's good. Calvin, what's your take?
Yeah, I really agree with Dylan that I think maybe technology in the physical space is in the awkward teen stage right now, and we're all very aware of the creepiness of ads that follow you, that Dyson vacuum cleaner that just won't quit despite having already arrived, and so I think that there's a world where, in a sense, I think that consumers are starting to understand that their data is valuable. They know when they're giving it away, and so in a perfect world, we would make it a very even trade, which is that I am taking your data exclusively for making your experience with us significantly better. And if I'm asking for your birthday in a way that I'm not going to do anything about it, that is like just tromping right past the creepy line. Where if you're going to get a free ice cream cone, maybe that makes sense. But in reality, you should stick to where.
I love it.
It was like a B- joke, but
Sign me up.
that's right. The things I will do for some soft serve, right? I've distracted myself. But I think that whether online or in the store, which online is easier, right? Which is years ago, Mark Zuckerberg sort of said that his objective for Facebook was to make the newsreel more desirable with advertising than without. And the principle behind that, of course, is that people love the pleasure of discovering a product they love. And if you can help them get there, that's a wonderful thing. And that is really the only thing we should be using people's data for. And so that's easy online, right? Which is that you don't like this product, you've never clicked on it, we're going to only put things that seem relevant to you, and that should be a better shopping experience. Then translating that to a store is much more difficult, especially with sales associates who are dealing apparently with big gulps in cash registers. I think that is difficult to, what are you going to have a profile on people? But I think that it's a little difficult. It's a tall order for people that are working very hard physically day to day. But I think ultimately, if technology can ease the labor of the store experience and exchange allow you to be a little bit more hotel-style concierge, where you're inviting people into the brand, you can lead with your pride of the product, you have all the tools to give a great experience. Maybe you have some concept of the interests of someone who comes in. Even in a world, I don't know if there's would ever be a thing of a loyalty statusing where you realize it. I don't think that's probably appropriate for a retail store, but to at least acknowledge this is a consumer that's super interested in our most premium products, so let's get them right to what they love. That's going to take a minute, but I think that is where we'd love things to go, is a concierge experience, but that only happens when you remove all the real work, and that's what I would hope 70% for technology to accomplish for our retail stores in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, awesome. All right, let's get a little bit more technical. So you both have selected and are in the process of implementing cloud native point of sale, Aptos One. So Dylan, talk a little bit about what was important about that to you and kind of what are some of the benefits that you're getting as you go through that process?
Yeah, so we are implementing Aptos One, the whole platform. And so when we first started looking for something else, I would say if you look at our current landscape, we have traditional registers that are on a cash wrap in all of our stores today. And is it meeting the customer journey? I think it is meeting the customer journey today, but what it doesn't do is it doesn't give us the ability to think about customer journeys and new functionality that is really forthcoming, and we're already seeing at this point. So we ended up, what we're doing is we have the Aptos One solution, and it's all about flexibility. I like to use that word a lot, and the Aptos One solution is truly a flexible platform for us. We were not looking for, I know we're not necessarily talking about, but we weren't necessarily looking for a cloud-based solution.
No,
we were looking for mobility, we were looking for flexibility, we were looking for a solution set that empowered us to do new things, and new things that we haven't even thought of in the future.
Yeah.
And so that's been really important to us as we've really shrunk our technology platform down physically within the Aptos One solution onto mobile devices where we can become untethered from a cash desk and really put the technology in our store associates' hands and be with the customer. And then also using some of the other components to it that are really microservice and API based, so that in the future we can truly build new experience and tether them, well, not tether, that's an awful word, tie them right back into the technology platform and really help to enable that customer's experience to go above and beyond what they're doing today.
Yeah, well, and the cloud part is fair. I mean, so cloud wasn't a priority for you necessarily. It was the flexibility, and cloud just happened to be an enabling way to get that. Did you have any concerns about cloud and store and how that was going to work from an offline resiliency perspective or any of that?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, New Balance values our customers and our experience and our associates, and we would never put in a solution that wasn't resilient. I mean, point blank. I mean, cloud's technology has been around for a long time. In fact, it's almost an afterthought at this point. Everybody uses it. A lot of the solutions that are on your cell phones right now in your pocket are all cloud-based. So it's a proven technology, and that we all rely on right now. So it's almost an expectation that a solution would be cloud-based. I mean, one of the advantages of having I almost want to call it a headless, but not quite.
Yeah.
Where traditionally you always need an in-store server, and then you have your registers that are talking to the in-store server. So when we put this in-store server into the cloud, essentially it reduces the footprint in the store and also makes things a lot easier. Our implementations in this platform is much simpler, it's much faster, it's much less costly on the hardware side of it, and then it enables us to do things that frankly are much easier than we have. If you may, if I get a little bit more time.
You're good.
We have, so one of the events that we did recently was the New Balance Outdoor Nationals. This is an elite high school event that New Balance sponsors. It's in Philadelphia at UPenn. And so what we did for that event is we set up a selling area, much smaller than the Javits, but we set up a selling area, and it had all branded New Balance Outdoor Nationals product. So there's also an event, same event, but there's also another tent actually on the track. So if you're one of these elite high school runners and you finish in the top 6 of your event, you become an All-American. And that's a big honor to become an All-American. And as part of that, you have an opportunity to go into this special area where there's some specific product that says you're an All-American, and we are able to sell, very specific product in that area. Now, because the way the Aptos One solution is architected in the cloud, historically we'd have to have a server in one location, another server in another. As we sell, we want to create a single store number so that it's all from a finance and accounting and merchandising, all the reporting, all is the same store number. Historically, we'd have to have 2 store numbers. But because the server is actually in the cloud, we're able to have 2 events running simultaneously in 2 very different locations, and we're able to still sell in those locations. Frankly, if we had a third tent that happened to be in a different state, we can actually sell at the exact same time, all related to the same store number, and it made things much more simple, and it was really helpful.
That's awesome. Love to hear it. So Calvin, we've rolled out at Timberland and the North Face, and Dickies is next.
Yes.
So what are you looking forward to?
I think that, so we've got a pretty old version of you on our limited stores at Dickies, which means that we have really, I guess really the problem we're trying to solve at Dickies is we're going to be growing our store footprint. We only have 5 in the US, and we've got a few in Europe and a ton in Asia, ironically. But we're trying to really understand, we have the benefit of sort of starting over and reinventing what the store experience needs to look like, and we don't have to pivot a whole bunch of existing stores. We can be very intentional about that experience. In our world today, we don't really know much about that customer that's coming to the store, what their purpose is, if they're connected online. We sell so much through the wholesale model at Dickies currently that there's a lot of our customer that broadly we don't see. And in fact, if you look at our Google interest reports, we can see in some cases what a different customer clearly goes to places like Amazon and different wholesalers than what visits our website. So we've got a whole world of customers that we, ultimately fear we probably don't touch as much as we would like as a direct brand experience. And so we're looking forward to actually putting in the product in our existing stores and to, with an omni-channel environment, ultimately get to see who that consumer is, because right now they're just sales history in a lot of ways.
Right.
And with that, we will probably carry a world of pop-up shops and trial experiences to find out, to kind of do the right network planning to understand where we need to plant ourselves, likely temporary to start, and then really decide if a mothership or a brand headquarters shop belongs there. So I think there's a huge piece of customer journey that we're looking to experience. We're definitely going to be leading with, sort of as I mentioned earlier, this mega menu concept of really trying to introduce people to the product and what our key iconic pieces are and what you're trying to solve. We have a world where we've got a lot of lifestyle use for our product at Dickies and a ton of genuine workwear.
Yeah.
And so all colors of the political spectrum like Dickies. And so ultimately, we're looking to bring people in and really help orient them and find out what they like. And oftentimes we find different geographies prefer different things, and so the omni-channel is going to be very valuable to us. I know at the North Face and Timberland, one of my favorite experiences that I sort of accidentally probably trolled one of our North Face stores with was the week they launched Aptos. I had a friend who I don't know if you, I'm sure if you're a retailer, you offer friends and family or employee discounts, which think wisely about who you do that nonsense to. And had a friend that wanted to return a jacket because it was a little more puffy than he wanted, and so we thought let's bring it to the store and see what we can do here on this rotation out. And they didn't have the one in the right size that he wanted, and the associate on day 2 figured out how to return it and reorder a new one to his address without having done that adventure on Aptos before, which I thought was pretty impressive. And so I think that a world where a customer comes in and they sort of think of a little bit of a magic wand without breaking conversation, he was pretty quickly able to just do that, which would have been a walk on water miracle, a couple of years prior, and it was great to just I was sweating like a gefilte fish, but he was he did it. So I was really pleased with that.
Excellent. That's a great story. I didn't know where you were going with that one, so I was a little worried for a second.
I like to keep you on your toes.
But Dylan, if you can ring, then everyone can, right?
Here's a picture of me and actually Kristen here, who's on right here. We're both ringing here. One of the things that we did at New York City Marathon, and I like to do it at the events, is my team is in charge of, essentially bringing the technology to light, bringing it in front of the stores. But I also asked the whole team to get on the registers and actually ring. And one of the big reasons for that is because, without actually operating the point of sale system in front of customers and really understanding how it works, of course they understand what it works in a lab, but when it's actually in front of a customer, there's a little bit different there, right? So as they need to, one, support the solution or build in new functionality, having that firsthand experience of what our store associates are doing every day is really important, and one of the reasons why I'm physically there and actually working with customers to do that. We talked about how easy, essentially intuitive it is, and that truly is the case. We had one of the other events that we sponsored and ran, and we had Aptos One at, was the London Marathon, which was a really great event. It was actually one of the first times that New Balance had done the event and actually had New Balance employees running point of sale. In the past, we've done other things with third parties, so this was an opportunity to use this new Aptos One solution at the event, and it was very successful. One of the things that really struck me was training. All the store associates have been using more of the legacy Aptos Store 6 product, and going from Store 6 to Aptos One was very simple. I think the training was, maybe a 10-minute training, and people were picking it up. And the thing that struck me the most was we had folks coming out of the corporate office who are just here to help, and with almost little to no training, folks that have never even used point of sale were actually here doing what I'm doing, using point of sale. We had somebody from HR, we had somebody in finance, and they were literally using the point of sale and helping customers. So the intuitiveness and the simplicity of it, which is very important, is truly a big benefit to the new platform here. And obviously it's proven because we have some folks that never even used point of sale before, and they're actually helping customers.
Down there in it, that's awesome. So I am going to open it up for questions, but I'm going to ask one more question. So if you have a question, you have time to think of it and come up, and then we'll see if anybody's up here, and then we'll kind of turn towards the future. So my next question is kind of related to the simplicity and the ease of picking it up. So I've seen some resistance to introducing a lot of change in stores, especially from the technology perspective. Some of it is we've tried to introduce change in the past, and and the store is world weary, and they just can't take any more change. Some of it is, I just don't want to change too much all at once. But there's so much change that's coming from the technology side, what consumers bring in the stores, what store associates bring with them from their own experience. What's your take on the pace of change that a store can take? And Dylan, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit like the Goldilocks theory, right? So too much change is not good. But just the right amount of change is really important and helps the whole retail experience really evolve. So having that change that's appropriate, that's simple, that's intuitive, is certainly manageable, and it's also welcomed at the stores. Again, we don't want to overwhelm the stores, because at the end of the day, they're there to help support our customers, help support the brand, and too much change is a problem. But if you get just the right amount of change, I think that's super important, and it continues to help evolve the overall solution.
Yep. Calvin, what's your take? How much change can a store take?
I think they can take a lot as long as it's organic to the process, right? So if there were maddening things that you've deeply simplified for the associate, then and a lot of our associates just skew younger, and so they're pretty technology prone. And so as long as we're allowing them to do the thing they love, which if they're applying at one of our stores, they love the brand that they're there, and if they can talk about that, then we're doing exactly what technology is supposed to do. So I think that if it makes sense, it is really quickly adopted and adopted at scale, and maybe heartily, with even some complaints on the predecessor, right? I think that if in a place where it maybe like the walk around and check out anywhere where you picked up your jacket and sacre bleu, I'm right there with the bag and I can put it in there. I mean, like, that fits some places and that doesn't fit other places. But as long as it's really organic in the nature of what the customer needs and that shopping experience, I think they can take it at scale.
Awesome.
Usually.
All right, so it doesn't look like we have any questions from the audience, so we will move on to what's next. So, Calvin, what's your priorities for 23?
Not personally, right?
Not for your stores. We're talking about stores and store tech.
Yeah, I think that it is to ultimately for Dickies and then eventually some of our other smaller brands to start to put physical footprints down in a new environment with a much more capable, obviously, POS system that helps us really get to know and understand who the customer is, how they like to engage with us, and ultimately to design an environment that is a post-pandemic ultimate shopping experience. And so I can't wait to get that exposure to them. I've just been waiting with bated breath to get to know that customer.
Yeah.
And I think that we're going to get so much feedback. I live and breathe in the data world, and so this is something that after working heavily in the digital experience, I cannot wait to see who that customer is. And it is so fun to get to start a brand that does not have hundreds of legacy stores that have to be transformed. We can set the new precedent and I think really be first of the race. So it's going to be about designing a post-pandemic retail experience, and I think that the technology is going to be the major piece that enables us to do that.
Yeah, that's very exciting. And Dylan, what's on your to-do list for 2023 for your stores?
Thank you for saying that. Well, one is really to try to continue to evolve the solution set that we're providing out so we can enable more customer journeys. New Balance has a brand new concept store that's actually opening next month in Boston, and one of the things that we've done is we spent a lot of money on trying to identify what the new service model is, and where we've added technology into that, we've weaved in the Aptos One solution into that service model in this new format. And so I'm really excited to see how the new format is going to perform. In this new format, it's a little bit more of enabling with technologies so that as customers come in, we're going to have mobile devices, we're going to have different experiences, there's going to be a community space in the center of the store. And so really untethering the technology from really where traditionally it has been and put it into the hands of the consumers and the customers so they can work like this to find what the customer really needs. So really looking at the evolution of that, and as we roll out more of those types of new store formats, I'm excited to see how that's going to evolve.
Yeah, that's cool. I hear a lot of people talking more about community space and event kind of space. Do you have Do you have some plans for like what kinds of things you're going to hold in that space, or that's just like a third space for brand fans, for runners who want to get together?
Yeah, I mean, the community space it's more about like where you have, typically in the back of the store, you have footwear and you're gonna try stuff on, but we're bringing that really into the center of the store, and that's the pillar piece. So it is a circular, literally a circular piece where people can sit down and try on product, footwear, apparel, obviously there's some accessories there. Certainly understanding what's going on in certain communities, whether we're doing, types of, running events. It's not always just running. I mean, New Balance is a brand that has lots of different components to it. The lifestyle's really taken off for us. Basketball is becoming very popular. But I think overall, the new concept store is really just showcasing certain pieces of the brand, really helping the customer immerse into that brand, identifying fit, which we talk about a lot, and fit means a lot of different things. It's not only just, does this footwear fit you best, but what type of product fits your lifestyle, and really helping the customer explore those journeys.
Yeah, I love that definition of fit. Calvin, you guys looking at more events, more pop-ups for Dickies? You talk about wanting to get to know that customer, so.
Yeah, I mean, one of Dickies' kind of neatest areas is we have a great skate team, which is very organic to who we are. They're an awesome group. They do collabs with our product, and we sponsor building of skate parks all over the place. And when we do these things, our skate teams come out to the parks, and so there's a little bit of, because they are unlike, in a sense, I mean, minor celebrities to a lot of the young skaters. It is so fun, and so I think that in a lot of cases, we definitely plan to continue to show up to the community in that space. We haven't actually brought a mobile retail experience to that, technically by capacity. We also haven't totally wanted to lead with like a store and a skate park next to it.
Right.
But I think we will now have the option where it's appropriate. And then we also are kind of our other side in our work where there's a huge focus, we call it our independent maker, which is that sort of Etsy-based craftsman that's starting their own business, everything from a very skilled plumber, electrician, all the way to a carpenter or a painter. And so we kind of show up in a lot of places like community colleges and feature a lot of our artists. We just honestly haven't had the capability to bring a transactional element to the spaces yet, but I think that a great place for customer insights is in reviews or direct messages through social, and we do have a lot of people saying like, hey, where the heck do I get this exact painter pant? I think that we're very excited to do a heavy pop-up model and bring it there. It may not be rightly conjoined with sort of our community efforts right away, but we want to find out. Is that something that people have a taste for, or have we accomplished the magic recipe of driving something that's relevant to you personally and putting a product that you genuinely want right in front of you, and it doesn't feel like a commercial intrusion, and that it's appropriate.
Okay, fabulous. All right, so we're in the last 2 minutes. So let's see, Dylan, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you really wanted to make sure that we talked about today?
Nope.
No. Thank you. Thanks, Dylan.
No, I think, overall we're really excited about evolving technology solutions at New Balance. Ultimately, we're there for our customers. We're there for our store associates. We want to provide the right technology platforms. We want to provide the right journeys and flows. And as we continue to evolve what we're delivering, we want to be able to build in and have opportunities to do so. So I can see in the future where we want to actually have more interactions and integrations from different in-store technologies, and kind of all flows into one, and consolidating down to single devices where we can, and ultimately making it really simple, very intuitive, and easy for the store associates and our customers.
Awesome, thanks. And Calvin, how about you? Any last thoughts you want to share?
I guess, I'd just say that I think that, the store experience has to, I guess we didn't really touch labor, but I think labor is a world where thoughtful, great labor in a store, it has to be a job that people are interested in, passionate about, taken care of by their corporate office. And so I think that This is technology that absolutely enables good, happy, fulfilling, enjoyable work, where people can really shift again from the operator, but over into a world where they're really introducing and explaining the product is going to be so important, not only from a consumer experience, but also from just our operational requirements and the constraints of the labor market. And so I think that I'm excited to see. I hope that companies like yours continue to grow and get really intuitive right alongside us, because I think we're going to see a need to evolve a totally different experience every couple of years in order to really keep a best-in-class touch point for consumers.
Excellent. Well, with that, thank you all for coming, and I hope you learned something new and interesting, and please help me in thanking our panelists and sharing their perspective as well.
Thank you.
Awesome.